Hi one and all, it's Nicki here. As in last month's video, I am taking a break from my normal programming of end of the month book reviews simply because I've had a lot of family stuff going on in November, December and into January with my sister's wedding and obviously all the festive stuff. I haven't had access to my camera for all of that time, or I should say I won't have access to my camera for all of that time because I'm filming these in advance so that I do have some content to go up for you. However, end of January, end of next month, I will be back with normal programming when I'll be talking about the books I've read since we last had one of those discussions, so 3 months worth, although I'm not sure how much reading I'll get done with all this stuff going on, so it may not be too dire, and if it ends up being a bit long I might split those videos into parts 1 and 2, but we'll see what happens when January comes. In the meantime, this video is coming to you obviously at the end of a year, so I was thinking what can I do for some content for you, and I thought, well, maybe I'll have a talk about my wish list. It's a time of year when we make resolutions and wishes, so it seemed appropriate. I have a running wish list at the book depository. Usually it's got 250 odd books on it, and it's handy because with many of my family living overseas and quite a few friends as well, I find that easy because they can go to my wish list, they know these are books that I want that I don't own. There's free postage, so they can ship them here to me in Australia for my birthday, Christmas, whenever they feel like gifting me a present, and they can be certain that I'll appreciate what they've sent and that I'll then take it off the list and all good. So it's a running list, and I just was looking through it the other day and I thought maybe I'll just talk to you a bit about some of the items I've got on there. I mean, I won't list every one of the 200 odd books that's on there, but I'll just talk about them a little bit in categories and what's prompted me to put them on the list, just so you know some of the things that I will hopefully be reading in the future. Start off with biographies. I've got a few biographies on there I'd like to get. I recently watched Lawrence of Arabia, the 62 film with Peter O'Toole, all the way through for the first time, all nearly 4 hours of it. Really loved it, and it has made me want to learn a bit more about T.E. Lawrence. So there's a couple of biographies about him that are on the list. Another one is the Samuel Pepys diary. I read a biography of Samuel Pepys earlier this year, which you'll remember from one of my review videos, but I've never actually read a full copy of the diary. Or it still probably won't be a full copy of the diary because that goes for several volumes, but an edited at least copy of the diary. I've only read odd passages in different works, so I wanted to get that. I'm also interested in some biographies of Louis XIV since I've been watching Versailles, and the Duchess of Devonshire, having watched the Duchess film like a few years back and enjoyed that as well and found her, Georgiana, quite a fascinating figure. And finally the Earl of Rochester, who is another really intriguing figure about whom I would like to know more. Staying on a similar line with history, I've got a few books on there about the Mutiny on the Bounty, which I've become more interested in recently after reading a fictionalised telling from Fletcher Christian's viewpoint. I have Revolution by Peter Ackroyd because I've been collecting his History of Britain books. I've got the first 3 and that is number 4, which I still need to get to continue the collection. I've got a few books along the lines of Ludicrous Laws of Old London. London, in case you don't know, does have some really bizarre laws that technically still exist even though they would never be like enforced anymore. It's those sort of little fun facts that would be really great to include in fictional works if I'm writing in different time periods. So those kind of things are great research reference material. And then I've got the usual assortment of books on my favourite periods, the Tudors, the Georgians, the Victorians, and 1 or 2 on fashion in those periods as well because again it's very useful for my writing. Moving on, I've got a great love of folklore and mythology, as you'll know, particularly if you've read some of my books. There's often a little bit of an influence in some of the stories about that. So I've got a few books on there. The Brothers Grimm's, or Jacob Grimm's Teutonic Myths, which he wrote in addition to the fairy tales that everyone knows, but I don't have a copy of the Teutonic Myths, so I'd like that. I'd like some on Russian folklore, Japanese, Native American. I've still got some more Icelandic sagas to join my collection here that I need to get, and there's a nice anthology on Old English and Old Norse literature as well that I would quite like, although that one's pretty expensive. Moving on to entertainment, I'll use that a very broad term. There's some vocal scores I'd like to be able to sing, play on my piano. A book on writing better song lyrics, because I do enjoy doing a little bit of song composition now and then. Books on The Hobbit. I still need to complete my collection, because I collected for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I've been getting all the art books, The Art of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, etc. And I've still got a couple of gaps in the Hobbit ones that I need to fill to finish the collection. The book Les Miserables Stage to Screen that I would like and still don't have. My languages, which are always very important to me, so I've got some language learning materials on there that I'd like to get, particularly for the Scandinavian and Norse languages, Icelandic, Swedish, Norwegian. And finally, novels. What sort of novels? Obviously it's not all reference works. I like to relax sometimes with a good bit of fiction too. So some of the authors whose names are currently on my wish list: E.M. Forster, John Kalman Stephenson, the Icelandic writer, some more Halldór Laxness, another Icelandic writer. I've still got a few Dostoevskys to collect. Fanny Burney, who I've never read any of her work yet, and I'm really keen to, because I do love the Georgian period. Somerset Maugham, F. Scott Fitzgerald. I still want to get a few more of Elfriede Jelinek's books. Proust, Anthony Burgess, Milan Kundera, and Haruki Murakami. Both of those guys, I've been collecting their books, and I'm down to the last kind of handful of each of them that I just need to finish off my collection of all their works. And Thomas Hardy the same. I've got quite a few Thomas Hardys here, but there's one or two still outstanding. So that was just a little bit of a breakdown on some of the things I have on my wish list on the book depository that hopefully over time I will get, although pretty much for every book I put on I usually end up adding, for every book I take off or someone buys me, I usually end up adding 2 more, so it's one of those like self-perpetuating lists in some ways. However, I will acquire some of them in time, so I will look forward to sharing the reviews of them as I do get them and read them. What about you guys? Do you have any books on your wish list that you'd like to share? Any that you're planning to buy yourself as a New Year treat, or that you're hoping to get during the New Year as gifts? Pop them below. I'd love to hear what you guys are longing to read, and I'll be back at the end of January when I will be resuming my normal routine of book reviews. Bye for now, and Happy New Year.